What's up, guys? It's been a long time since I've posted. It's been about a year, I think. And figured I'd just bring you back for a little update of what has been going on. In the last video, I mentioned that I was going to have some bad news that could potentially affect the building of my Subaru. And now that it's been a year past, I can say that I was losing my job. The place I was working at was going to close down. And at the time, I wasn't allowed to talk about it because it was some kind of hush policy or whatever. I ended up getting a pretty sizable check for staying there until the end, and a nice little benefits package for leaving. So I ended up dumping it all into my Subaru. Now, I could have and should have made some videos of everything that I've done up until now, but at the time, the guy that I got the car from that you've seen in the videos before, me and him got into an altercation, and I wasn't talking to him anymore. So I was basically just doing things by myself, and I really didn't want to get in and film everything. I have since made up with that friend, and we do still talk, but now my work schedule doesn't allow me for much time to actually see him, so I'm still going to be doing stuff by myself. But let me go ahead and go over everything that I've done since January when I got my money, and I'll throw in a couple little videos of some shoots that I did, just quick little things that I uploaded to Facebook actually. And we'll go over my future plans and wrap the video up. So with that being said, let's get to what I've done. Alright, so here you can see it's definitely a different color. Got some different rims on it. I went ahead and changed the tail lights out. If you remember right, it had those ugly Altezza style lights that were real popular back in the early 2000s. I went ahead and just got some JDM style lights and put them on there. Right now it's just spray bomb black, just for me to be able to do body work. I actually got to go and get some fenders. No, actually I got them out here. I forgot I got them inside. I went ahead and got the WRX roof wing. Not quite sure if I want to get the little mid spoiler there or not. I'm not too much a fan of it. I mainly wanted the roof scoop, but I might get that spoiler just to kind of fit the look. I'm still going to get a different rear bumper, which matches the rest of the body kit that I got. These rims I originally had for the car I used to call Electra. Same lug pattern, so I just went ahead and put them on this one. Got some wheels. They're 16 by 7s. Let's go ahead and top the trunk. It's a mess in here right now just because I've been trying to clean up stuff and work on everything. I went ahead and sound deadened. All this is sound deadened. It's a Boom Matte spray-on sound deadener. I'm working on, well, that one kind of fell apart, but I'm working on making some speaker pods for some 6.5-inch speakers there. That's just the starting process right there. And I'm going to do like a floorboard in here with a speaker box for 110, maybe 112. We'll see. I've got a bunch of speakers in there already. I went ahead and got the back seat all cleaned up and changed the color on it. It's actually getting dirty now because of everything that's sitting in there. Went ahead and got those cheap eBay coilovers, the max speeding rods. There's a reason why I got those. I've test fitted them. I'll show you a picture of them now. And as you can see, I did change the color, although it's fading right here and going back to the stock color, but I did change the color of the back seat to match a little better with the front. Got some new carpet. Started doing the trim to black. Let me go ahead and show you this real quick. I went ahead and bought a 22B wide body kit. This is going to be the driver's side rear fender. It's made specifically for 4 doors so that it opens up right here. So that's going to be a thing that I will show, the process of mounting these fenders on here, molding them into the body, making it look like it's all one. These are actually the 22B fenders for the front. They're not that crazy wide, but they are wider. I went ahead and got the clear markers here, clear corners here, and the fog lights that used to be on it are on the Jeep now. There were just some kind of Hella brand regular fog lights. I went ahead and bought the actual WRX proper lights for it. Let's see. As you can see, the dashboard is in the back seat. It's fiberglass right now. I'm working on getting it smoothed out. I might cover it in suede like I did the headliner. The door panels, I got this one is all completely fiberglass right now, in the stage of Bondo that needs to be sanded down. I'm trying different modes. This one's fiberglass. The one that should be there, I have all this stuff taken off. I have the factory material taken off down to the actual door card, and I'm gonna see what happens if I just cover it with suede. In here, in here I've changed out to a more proper looking Grant steering wheel, and I'm working on making a screen work for the gauge cluster. The stock gauge cluster was working kind of, but because of this guy down in here, that's my Speedy EFI standalone ECU. For whatever reason, with me putting that in, it wasn't working proper on the temperature gauge, and my fuel gauge wasn't working properly. So it's stuff that I gotta get in there and check out. The gauge there does kind of work. I'll go and get my key here in a minute and see if it has a battery. I don't even, yeah, the battery's on. Let me go get my key. Okay, hopefully you'll be able to see it when I turn it on. Let's see. So that's what the gauge cluster looks like. I think it's actually a universal motorcycle unit, but it actually works for my temperature and my gas. So I thought it'd be cool to have that sitting in there and make a little plate for it to make it look like it's factory. So that's that. I went ahead and repurposed his, the way he had it was the 3 gauges across here. I just used my fiberglass and kind of molded some rings in there. And I did, obviously, AM, air fuel pressure gauge. And here is my air fuel ratio gauge. Did I say air pressure or oil pressure? I don't know. And then this is a bass knob from CT Sounds so that I can control my bass amp. I went ahead and kept these because eventually I do want to get my climate control box back in here, so I will have the vents. But right now I don't have them. As stated before, I am running the Speedy EFI standalone ECU. I actually couldn't use any of the wiring harness that I had from the last video. So what I did was I got a hold of iWire. And every one of these pigtails, I just went ahead and ordered for each sensor. These pigtails with the little pins, and then these are the actual wires coming from my Speedy EFI. I had to run power and grounds to some of them, and then just have signals there. But every one of them, you know, TPS sensor, idle air control valve, AVCS, so on and so forth. All of them have been replaced and wired in myself. I actually got to come in here because these are some wires that I had gotten for the injectors. These are the factory injector plugs, which are new as well, but I had it running on a different set of injectors. As you can see here, I have Injector Dynamics fuel rails, and when I ordered these, I ordered them as part of a kit with the STI TGV delete kit, and it came with Injector Dynamics 1000cc injectors, way too big. So I went ahead and ordered, I think they are Grant Performance 550cc's, which are sitting in there right now, and that is the kind of plug I need. I've actually got the plugs that came with the injectors, so I just need to rewire those in. I've also did all AM lines and did the I don't know if you can see it down in there, but I did the, I think they call it parallel system, where you run your fuel line off your filter over here into a Y fitting and then come into the front of both sides of your injector rails. You come out of the both sides of the back and into a fuel pressure regulator, which I have an Aeromotive one right there. I gotta properly mount it, but for now it's just in there to make everything line up. And then I did order these underdrive pulleys. I forget what brand they are. It looks, there's an S on it. I can't see what it says, but I'm kind of thinking I might want to go back to factory for those. I probably am going to have to upgrade the alternator, even though this one's brand new, just because of the stereo system and all the lights and stuff I want to put in this car. And you might be wondering, let's see, why is it so? There we go. You might be wondering why there's a intercooler on a non-turbo engine. As you can see down in here, maybe non-turbo. I got the intake, I'll explain here in a second. Also, drivetrain, I went ahead, I didn't get the transmission or anything out of the Outback like I was talking about in the last video. That transmission is actually from an 04 JDM WRX, same as the rear end. The axles are actually, I think I had to do the stock 93 axles on the front, and I had to do 97 axles on the rear, just because of the spline count. Okay, and now for the reason why I have this. It's because I'm going to go supercharged. Now what I'm going to have to do is get rid of this top part of the intake. I'm going to have to relocate the alternator because the supercharger will probably come out here. What I'm going to do is come in here, cut the top of this off so that this will fold over this way and make a bracket to hold this side over here. I might even make it permanent mount and then use a spring-loaded tensioner here. We'll see when that comes to that. I went ahead and added my power steering pump with the lines to go there. Got a lot of room over here. I'll probably put an air box in here. Alright, now let me go show you what I got. Okay, so this is a M90 supercharger from a Ford Thunderbird. I've seen some people call it a M62. I'm not sure. It's about the same size as the General Motors one that I had as far as this is concerned, but the lengthwise, because the General Motors has the throttle body built on here and it has the bypass hose or the hole here. It's a little bit longer on the General Motors. I think the snout's actually longer too. I had bought this one back in January, I think it was, like $600 off of eBay refurbished. Put it under there for test fitting. Something got up in here and it scored the back wall right here, so this one is pretty well dead. It's like, it's almost locked up. It'll spin, but it's not that good. It's got scoring and stuff both on the rotor and on the back of the housing, so I might have to have this repaired before I use it, or find some pieces, maybe a housing and a new rotor, and rebuild this one myself. Now here comes the fun part. Right here, this is a factory blow-off valve off of a 93 Mercury XR2 or Mercury Capri XR2, the little 1.6 turbocharged front-wheel drive convertibles. I have two of these. My original plan was to put that supercharger right here, facing up just like it does on the Thunderbird, and build a plenum, the little boost plenum that it has. I had originally got the 3.81 that it has, but the port was over here, and I wanted to kick here. I'm going to show you where I got the idea from. I'll push a picture of it right here. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is reverse flowing the factory intercooler. So right here where the throttle body hooks up to the intercooler, that's where the boost is going to go in from the supercharger. And my original idea was that the supercharger needs a bypass valve. I was going to make a little adapter, bolts right here on the factory blow-off valve area, and basically kind of, you know, do this for the bypass. But I wasn't quite sure if a vacuum only, you know, blow-off valve would be good. So I was like kind of looking around, and I come across another YouTuber by the name of Boosted Problems. He's doing a very similar one with, I think it's an Outback or a Legacy wagon. He's already well into his build. He's already got his started up and everything. Same supercharger, just doing it a little bit different. And I asked him one day, I was like, hey, I've got 2 of these. Would they work for the bypass? And he linked me to a video that I'd originally seen. But he also said, or you could use a factory supercharger bypass valve from a Mini Cooper. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and go with. I'm going to probably port this in, what would be about right here, and build a pipe that comes from here that will come up and bolt directly to this intercooler. So basically, boost comes in. When the throttle body closes shut and the pipe that goes from the throttle body to the supercharger sees vacuum, the boost will come out of here because it's already kind of loaded in the pipe. And when the pipe here sees vacuum because the throttle body's shut, that little hole right there is going to get vacuum, which is going to actuate this little actuator, open this up, and let the boost circulate, so it's not actually boosting into the engine. I thought that was an amazing idea, and I definitely have Boosted Problems on YouTube to thank for that, so shout out to him. Now you might be asking, how do I get the boost from the intercooler into the intake? Well, that's where I'm going to have to custom make my stuff. I'm going to make some pipes that come up, come to about right here, and they're going to go back and under. And on the back side of this intercooler, if you've ever had one off, you'll know that there's 2 ports on the back side of this intercooler. Most of them have this Y pipe. And I went ahead and take this Y pipe off because what I'm going to do is where that Y is in, I'm going to make it come into the intercooler. I might even have a little piece that goes like right here to connect this one to this one. And basically what I'll have is the intercooler will be set down on there like that. I might even have it look like one piece going over the supercharger. It'd be like a sheet metal style intake. And then when I go to put the intercooler on, it'll come in like this, clamp on here, clamp on to the 2 bottom pieces that's on the intake, just like it would from the factory. And that's how it is. Now, I'm gonna have to do some test fitting a little bit later. I gotta pull the top part of this intake off, move this out of the way, set the supercharger down on there, figure out how high it needs to be just to be off the water pipe right here. Anything that's kind of up, I need the supercharger to be just above it. So I'm only going to raise it up as high as it can come to clear this, and it's going to be as low as it can possibly be. The other problem is going to be the actual throttle body pipe. I'm hoping that around about in that area where the PCV valve system sits, right in here, I'm hoping that I can build a pipe that's kind of like low profile and just really hugs the the supercharger and goes up under the intake. I'm hoping I can kick it up 90, come over this way, and maybe have the throttle body sitting like maybe right here. That way I can build a cold air intake that'll come up and come around here and just right there where the factory system is. That's the goal anyways. Now is going to be actually pulling it off. I've done a couple where it stayed sideways. I don't know what. Is it already going?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the update on the Voodoo Impreza. You'll find out why it's called the Voodoo Impreza here in a little while. It could be a little while, honestly. I'm going to try to get some more uploads out. I feel like I got more time now, even though I'm working 6 days a week. I got more just drive to work on the vehicle because I did all that stuff over the past few months. Mainly under quarantine, honestly, because I ended up losing my job back in April, and I just spent April through probably August building this thing to its point. Oh, as I said, I have had it fired up. I will say this. It's hard for me to give a positive rating to the Speedy EFI guys, but it's hard for me to give a bad rating to them also. The reason why I'm having problems with Speedy EFI is mainly due to my lack of experience dealing with standalone ECUs. This is my first attempt at it. I have a little bit of ADHD, so it's kind of hard for me to pay attention when people are talking scientific stuff, you know. So it's hard for me to really pick up on what's going on. I'm kind of more one of them people that I learned by somebody kind of holding my hand, so to speak. So it's going to be hard for me to actually get this thing running. So probably what I'm going to do is once I get the supercharger and everything done, all the fab work worked up, all the parts put on, you know, all the plumbing done, I'm just going to save up some money and take it to a dyno, a tuner, and have them actually go through it, get it running. I did have it running kind of, sort of. I drove it to the exhaust shop, but it didn't run that well. And once it ran out of gas on me, I thought something happened to it. And it's right after that clip that I showed the exhaust, it ran out of gas, and I thought something like major happened. I thought it was the fault of the fuel pressure regulator, because I'd done when that air motive is my third pressure regulator. When it comes to something like that, don't buy cheap. The first one I got was like a little $35 air motive knockoff from eBay, and it failed so quickly. Second one I got, I think it ended up being a It was a popular brand like Yomei or something like that. I forget exactly what it was called, but I think it ended up being a knockoff as well, because when I got to looking at it, apparently the real ones have a serial number stamped into the back of the body, and this one did not. It failed almost immediately as well. It was maybe $15 more, like 45 or so. Well, I spent like almost $200 on the Aeromotive one, so get a good one when it comes to something like that. I think that's all the updates for now. Like I said, I'm going to try to get more videos out as I go along. They're probably not going to be like weekly or anything. It's just going to be whenever I have the chance to get out there and mess with it. Financial is the other thing. I had all that money at the beginning of the year. Bought all these parts. I've put $14,000 into this car this year, and it's still sitting in this condition. It makes me sick. So I'm not even counting how much money I put into it now. So it's just, I'm stopping counting it where I'm at. But if you are interested in watching this build, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the like button, because it does help this channel grow. And until next time, have a good day. Peace.